Hello and welcome to my channel. Today my name is Chisum. So I just bumped into this beautiful trouser on the streets of Instagram and I felt it was beautiful, so I thought why not share this tutorial, and that is what I have brought to you today. So we are going to be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful trouser with side frills. If you're interested in learning how to make this, stick around and let's get started. So I'm going to fold my fabric into two. Now the volume of fabric I am folding is my hips divided by 4 plus extra 6 inches allowance. So this line right here is going to serve as my waistline. So from the waistline here, I'll come down by my waist to hips, 10 inches. Waist to crotch measurement, I'll add 1 inch to my hip line. Waist to knee measurement, and for that I'll be using 21 inches. So from here I'll measure my hips, divide by 4 and make a mark. On the crotch line from this side, I'll measure my hips, divide by 4 as well and make a mark, and I'm going to connect it straight. I hope you can see the line that I am marking right here. This line is going to be my center line. Now from here I'll measure my waist, divide by 4 plus sewing allowance. Please note that we are drafting the front first, okay? I almost forgot, guys. I have not marked out my trouser length. The length of this trouser is 43 inches plus 3 inches sewing allowance. I'm going to mark 46. 43 plus 3 inches sewing allowance is what I am marking from the waistline right now. So I have marked the waist divide by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and I am going to add from here to here is my hips measurements, divide by 4. Okay, now I'll add 1 inch sewing allowance on the hip line, so I'll connect the one on the waist to the hip, since I've already added sewing allowance for the side on the waistline. Okay, so I'll connect it right now. I really do hope that you are seeing this as much as I want you to see it. So now for the front crotch line, I will extend it by 1.5 inches and I'm going to curve it like so, just give it a smooth curve with my free hand. Now I'm going to measure from this angle to this crotch extension, and whatever I have here, I have 12.2. I'm going to divide it into 2 and put it on the knee line. I am going to mark it on the lower part as well. So now how wide you want the knee area to be is totally dependent on you. So here I'll measure 5 inches and connect to the crotch just like I am doing right now. You can use your ruler to connect this, but you can also use free hand to connect it. So from here I measured 5, here I will measure 5 as well. So that is 10 inches. So I'll connect to this point. So from the knee I connected it to the crotch without the allowance. Now I'm going to take this down. Same thing I have on the knee is what I'll put on the hemline. So 5 here, 5 here is what I'll put on the middle line right here. 5 here, 5 here. 5, 5. So I'm done marking out the lines, and as you can see right here, my trouser is ready. Okay, now on the waistline I'm going to be reducing the center. So from the center here I'll come down by 1 inch and I'll reconnect it to the side. Okay, so I already have my sewing allowance on the waistline and on the hip line. So I'm going to continue adding the sewing allowance from the hip line down to the hemline. It's actually 1 inch on the side and 1 inch on the center. So I'm going to cut it out. Now I'll fold the fabric for the cutting of the back piece. So for the back, at the top here, I'll come down by 3 inches from the top. Okay, I'll leave about 3 inches on the top line. So I've ruled the waistline. On the side as well, I will give a space from the side. So just like the front part, I'll rule my waist to hip line, my waist to crotch line, my waist to crotch line, my waist to knee line, and then the full length of the trouser, which is 43 inches, and I'll be adding 3 inches to that, which will make it 46 inches. And that's what I am marking on the hemline right now. So here I have it, my waistline, my hip line, crotch line, knee line, and full length. So from this center line, I'll measure my hips divide by 4 on the waist and on the crotch line, and then I'll connect that straight. Now on the waistline, I'll come in by 1.5 inches and I'll connect it to the hip line. 1.5 inches, okay, connect to the hip, and I'm going to be extending the line upwards. I will extend the waistline by 1.5 inches, okay. Then I am going to measure from that extended line. Let me bring it closer so you see it. So on the initial waistline, I extended it upwards with 1.5 inches, and I'm going to from there measure slantly to get my waist measurement, divide by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, it's going to fall on the main line, on the main waistline at the side. Okay, so this is what I marked right here. I'm going to remark my waistline so you see what I have. So here is my waist divided by 4 plus sewing allowance mark right here. Okay, so you can see that my waistline is now slanted, it's not straight anymore. So we came in by 1.5 because the center back is not straight. Okay, if you make it straight, it's going to have like a bulge, But if you do this, that means the back is going to be relaxing well on your body. Okay, so that is the reason why we have to tighten the center back like I did right now. Okay, so I'll not forget that I have already added my sewing allowance at the side on this waistline. So I'll add 1 inch on the hip and on the crotch and connect to the waist. Okay, so that side is done with. Now on the crotch for the back, I'll be extending it by 4 inches. Okay, now the standard way of extending your back crotch line is your hips divide by 10. Okay, whatever figure it gives you, that is what you will use to extend your back crotch line. So here is my own mark. Here on the hip, I'll come out by 1/2 inch and I'm going to connect like so, and then blend it into this other line. You see, very simple. So you can see, if you look well, you notice that the back crotch line is way longer than the front crotch. Now for a balanced effect, I am going to use the crease line I used for the front piece. So for the crease line on the front, I used 6.1 inches. So I'm going to also use 6.1 inches for the back crease line. So from the side here, I'll measure 6.1, and also on the hemline, I'll measure 6.1. So now I use 5 inches for the knee line on the front pattern. So here I'll be using 5.5 on both sides. 5.5. This is minus the sewing allowance. Okay, so I'm going to connect this point to this point, and I'll add my 1 inch sewing allowance since I have added on the crotch and the hip already. So I'll connect the knee to the crotch line, and this side I'll connect so I'm going to take what I have on the knee down to the hemline. So I'm done with the side. I'll just add sewing allowance on the center back all the way down. Okay, from the waistline here, I'll add 1 inch all the way down. So right now I am done with the back pattern. I'll go ahead and cut it out now. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the center back. I'll sew from here to here, and then for the front crotch, I'll also stitch from here to here. Okay guys, I have joined the front crotch together as well as the back crotch right here. Okay, so this is the point where I will say place the front and the back together and join the side, but no, we have to add our frill. Now for the frill, I have cut out a very long strip of fabric. This is ×2 of the length of my pants, of my trouser. Okay, it is ×2 of this trouser length actually. So now you can make it ×3 if you want it to gather more, or depending on how much fabric you have. Okay, so I cut out this long strip of fabric, double the length of my trouser, and the width is you can see I joined some. Okay, so you're free to join if the length you have is not enough. You can join and join and join until you get the desired length that you want. Okay, now the width I have here is 12 inches. The width I have here is 12 inches after folding the side. You see I folded in the rough edges. Now this side that I folded is the side that will fall out. Okay, the side that I'll be attaching on the trouser, I didn't fold it. It still has the rough edges right here. Okay, so after cutting it out and folding the top part and the side that will fly out, I went ahead to run a gather stitch, that is a loose stitch, on this side, and I'll be dragging it to fit the side of my trouser. Okay, so I'll go ahead and drag the two. So guys, after gathering, this is how you lay it. Okay, you lay it on the front part. This is the front part of the trouser, and then you lay it side by side like this, right side facing right side, side facing the side. Okay, now on the upper part, I'm going to leave about half of an inch before I start placing this ruffle. I'll be frill, this frill. Okay, all the way to about, so I'm not going to take this frill down to the end. Okay, it will stop like 3 to 4 inches above the end of the trouser. Okay, so this is how I'm going to sew it, and then sew this other one. Now you can go ahead and place your back pattern while the ruffle is on top of the front pattern. Okay, you can go ahead and place the back piece on top of it like this and sew. You can pin this in place, or you just keep arranging it while you're sewing it from the top to the hem. So you're going to sew for this side and for this side as well. Okay, so take note of the way I place the ruffle, and then I place the back on the front like this. Okay, don't worry about this ruffle that is showing the back part. The only thing you should concentrate on is to make sure that the front part of the back is facing the front part of the front. Okay, so I'll go now and join it with 1 inch sewing allowance that I added, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I am done sewing the sides. As you can see, I have joined the sides together with the frill. Okay, now I'll turn it over to the right side so you see what it looks like. So you can see how flowy this is. Okay, because let's say now is 11 inches, so if you want it shorter, you can make it 5 inches, 6 inches, or anyhow you want it. So this is the front part. This is the front part of the trouser, okay, with the side frill. So you see that the frills are facing upwards because we face them down on the front part when we were joining the sides. Now the crotch area is still open. I'll go ahead and flip it over like so. Flip it right side to right side, matching each other. Match it on the crotch. Match the crotch line together. You can either sew at this point, you can either sew from crotch to down and come back and complete the other side, but I'm going to carefully arrange this. Now make sure this frill is inside. Okay, as you're going to stitch the crotch area together, make sure you tuck in these frills inside the trouser properly so it doesn't get stuck in between your seam line. Okay, so I'll go now and sew from the hem all the way to the crotch, and down to the other hem. Okay, I hope you understand what I mean. So I'll go now and join from one leg to the crotch down to the other leg, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm done joining the crotch area together, and you can see that our trouser is formed already. After I was done with that, I went ahead to hem the lower part, and we are done with this. I also went ahead to cut out a band for the trouser. As you can see right here, the width of my band is 2 inches. Now bear in mind that after joining it to the trouser part, the width will reduce by half of an inch, which will give me 1.5 inches width band. Now for the length, I measured round my waistline from one center back all through to the other center back, and the figure I got is what I used to cut the length of my band. Okay, so I'll go ahead and fix it. It's just a simple way of fixing band, no long process with this. Okay, so I'll simply fix it with half of an inch, place it down below like I'm doing right now, sew all around it, and then you have it like this. Then after fixing the band, I will attach my zipper. Okay, here is the zipper I'll be using. It's an invisible zipper. So now I'll go ahead and fix everything just the way I have said it. Alright guys, I'm done attaching the band. At this point, you can go ahead and weave the inside. That's if you didn't give it a seamless finish. Okay, so you can see how everything has appeared nicely. I also fixed my zipper right at the back. Okay, everything is set. Okay guys, this has brought us to the end of today's tutorial. If this video was helpful to you, please like, share and comment on this video. If you have a question, please leave it for me in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.